Alright boys, and welcome back. We just got the full patch notes for Season 3. Now this update that we're talking about did go live yesterday, but a lot of the features in this update are not going to be going live till the season starts on April 22nd. And honestly, I've gone in-game and done some testing with this. There are some massive changes to zombies in this update. I mean, we're talking some pretty upsetting nerfs, some really good features that have needed to be added for a while are finally being added, and tons of just really awesome stuff. So we're going to go and we're going to break down everything important in these patch notes that you need to know. However, if you want to take your time and read the full patch notes, I'm going to leave them linked in the description. So starting off, we already know there's going to be a new battle pass, and we already know about the 3 new weapons that are being added tomorrow. On top of that, they're also adding new operators tomorrow. Wraith is going to be available at battle pass tier 0, and they're adding a new operator randomization option, which is really freaking cool. So now you're going to be able to select this, and it's just going to randomly pick an operator for you. And if you got tons of operators, can't pick what you're doing, that's kind of cool. Now we're going to move in to the weapon buffs and nerfs. Everything stated here is affecting both multiplayer and zombies. I'm not going to sit here and break down exactly what's happening with every weapon, because as you can see, there's a lot of changes to a lot of different weapons. They've kind of rebalanced a lot of things. We're kind of sum it up and get you just the information you need to know. So starting off, the stoner seems to have been nerfed pretty hard. Pretty much all of these things they've changed are negative effects to the stoner, which is a little unfortunate because the stoner was definitely the best LMG to use in zombies, and it was probably my go-to weapon for taking down Orda. So this is definitely something we're gonna have to test and see if the stoner is still worth using now. Then we move to the RPD, and the RPD has been buffed in one way. Its damage is being buffed, but all of these other things for the RPD are nerfs. Its range is going to be toned down a little bit. So the RPD was already kind of meh in zombies, and it's probably still going to be meh after all these changes. Then the M60 has also been hit pretty hard. Its range, its ADS speed, and quite a few other things have been kind of toned down on the M60. The M60 once again was not that great of a weapon in zombies, so probably a weapon you're going to want to avoid as well. Now we're moving into a little bit of unfortunate news. All of the shotguns have got changes in this update. So the Street Sweeper has gotten a nerf, decreased max damage from 138 to 88, reduced mid-range pellet damage from 6 to 5, and then reduced damage on the task force barrel attachment. After the last update, the Street Sweeper was finally usable in zombies. It went from being probably the worst weapon in zombies to, you know, a pretty good weapon if used correctly. And now with all these changes, I don't know if it's gonna be that usable anymore. Now moving on to the hauler, this right now is the single best weapon in zombies. It is kind of the go-to for everyone, especially if you're playing Outbreak. But starting off with it, it's actually getting a buff. Its max range has been increased. However, the task force barrel attachment has been heavily nerfed. I've done a little bit of testing in game with this, and it seems like the damage bonus for the task force barrel has been reduced pretty massively. And the task force barrel attachment was one of the things that made this so great. It massively improved this weapon, and we're gonna have to do some kind of in-depth testing. I don't know if the pump action shotgun is going to continue being the best weapon in zombies after these nerfs. Now moving on to the Gallo, it's actually been buffed a little bit. At mid ranges, it's going to be doing more damage now. However, they also reduced the max damage the Gallo can do. Now the ARs and tactical rifles, we're going to kind of move a little quickly through because these don't matter a whole lot in zombies. The FFAR overall has been buffed. The Krig itself has been reworked. It's going to have a higher headshot multiplier but less damage. Now the AUG's been reworked pretty heavily, quite a few buffs and nerfs. We don't really know how well it's going to play out in zombies now. And then something I know quite a few people are going to be a little bit disappointed about, SMGs overall have been nerfed. Prior to this update, the fastest gun to run with were SMGs. SMGs with the right attachment would allow you to run quicker than what you were able to with any other weapon. However, they've changed that. SMGs now are going to be running slower than pistols, and when you kind of max them out for speed, they're now going to be running as fast as pistols currently run. So before this update, the E-tool allowed you to run just as quick as what the SMGs did with all of these attachments. However, with this, the E-tool now allows you to run quicker than any other weapon in the game by a lot. Now this is actually really cool. In the menus now, they're going to allow you to play 10 free classic Activision arcade games. So these right here are the games that you can play in campaign by going to the arcade machines. You're gonna be able to play these little mini games now while you're waiting for a friend in the menus of the game, just kind of chilling. Not a massive feature, but something that's definitely really cool to see them add to the game. Then obviously they're gonna have the new prestiges and levels that we see every single season. And then it looks like they're adding new stuff to the prestige shop. It looks like they're just adding, obviously, you know, the new icons and the prestige master calling card from the original Black Ops. That calling card was amazing, and I cannot wait to use that in game in Cold War. Now we're getting to the split screen fixes, and I'm so glad they're finally fixing the split screen issues. I've had so many complaints about people being like, yeah, I would use split screen, just doesn't work very well. So here are all the issues. I'm not going to go through and read all of these issues with split screen, but hopefully split screen works just as good as it did in previous games now because there's a lot of fixes here for the split screen mode. Now, we've only got a few changes for League Play, but they've added a combat record in League Play, which I'm pretty happy about. I don't personally play League Play, but I know a lot of people are going to get some use out of that. But now here we go. Now we're moving on to the zombies changes, and there's a lot of good stuff this season for zombies changes. Now, like we talked about in our last video, every single weapon will now be unlockable in zombies. You will no longer have to go to multiplayer to do a challenge. You can do all these challenges in zombies to unlock the weapon. And this is live right now. I went ahead, logged in, and you can unlock any weapon you want in zombies right now. Now for progression, increased XP and match bonus XP gained in all zombie modes. That right there is absolutely amazing. I don't think they're gonna massively, kind of tone it up, but even a little bit more XP in zombies is great. And now I really want to test out those high XP methods I've posted on my channel and other videos. I want to test those again and see how much more XP we're gonna be getting now. Now moving into field upgrades. It doesn't look like we got any nerfs or buffs in the field upgrade department, but they did add the new one, Toxic Growth. And we're gonna be able to read off exactly what it does here. So starting off, summon a deadly growth of thorns in front of you. Enemies moving through it are slowed by 50% and take toxic damage. This sounds pretty cool. It seems like an in-between kind of offensive and defensive. We're definitely gonna have to check it out. So now here's what it's gonna do when you upgrade it. So tier 1, double the health of the growth. Tier 2, increase maximum charges to 2, which is great. More charges on something is always better. Tier 3, double the damage enemies take while moving through the growth. Tier 4, increase maximum charges to 3. Tier 5, enemies killed by the growth explode, dealing toxic damage to nearby enemies and slow them by 50% for 3 seconds. Honestly, this ability sounds amazing. The fact that it gets 3 charges alone is a huge thing for me. Right now, in my opinion, the best defensive field upgrade is Frost Blast. It's what's going to keep you alive the longest in terms of getting stuck in corners and for reviving teammates. But depending on how this works, this might give Frost Blast a run for its money. This might now be the best field upgrade for reviving teammates and kind of saving yourself in corners. I cannot wait to go in game and do a tier 5 review for Toxic Growth. Now moving into ammo mods, there's not a new ammo mod for this season, but they have kind of reworked quite a few of the ammo mods seen here. So starting off, Napalm Burst has been buffed, double all damage effect. So that's pretty massive. That's almost gonna double the effectiveness of this ability. If you guys watched my ranking video for every single ammo mod, Napalm Burst was ranked the worst ammo mod in the entire game, and I'm glad to see it's getting a little bit of love. We're gonna have to go in game, test it out now, and see if it's worth using. Now here we are seeing something that is a very common occurrence in just about every patch notes that we're getting. Dead Wire once again has been nerfed. The last 3 times they've nerfed Dead Wire didn't really do anything. And matter of fact, the last nerf they did to Dead Wire actually made it so much better, which didn't make a lot of sense, but it looks like they've gone back in and they've corrected their mistake. From what I've been seeing in my little bit of testing I've done myself, Dead Wire's been hit hard. Dead Wire might have just gone from being the best ammo mod in the game to the worst ammo mod in the game in one update. Like, it has been hit way too hard, and it might actually be useless now. I haven't done full in-depth testing of it yet, but I would kind of just stick with Cryo Freeze for now. Leave Dead Wire just kind of off to the side until we see if it's really useful for anything. Now, something else I don't really get here is Shatter Blast got nerfed. Reduced explosive damage by half. Before this update, Shatter Blast was the 2nd worst ammo mod, and it looks like that they're toning it back even more. In my opinion, it would have made more sense to double the explosive damage of Shatter Blast, not reduce it. But hey, maybe they had a reason for this. But yeah, Shatter Blast just got a nerf, and it was already one of the worst ammo mods in the game. So there's that. So obviously we're getting new seasonal challenges, and they're kind of fixing up some old bug challenges. We're getting the new Outbreak map and new Intel in Outbreak, and we're getting a new world event in Outbreak, which is really cool. I love the events around the map in Outbreak. It's one of the things that make that mode really unique. We're getting a Fury Crystal event. So who knows what this is and what reward that's going to kind of bring, but I'm definitely excited to go in game and test out the new Fury Crystal event. They've added new objective locations, obviously the new vehicles. Now this change to Outbreak is a massive change that everyone's been asking for since it launched. Die machine upgrades can now be found in certain regions in Outbreaks. So now you're going to be able to get the die machine, and you're going to be able to turn it to the Nova die machine. The ice one, the fire one, the electric one, all of those different versions, you're going to now be able to use those in Outbreak. So with this change, hopefully the die machine's a little bit more usable in Outbreak now. Who knows if these upgrade locations are going to be locked in certain places or if they're just going to kind of randomly spawn throughout the map. Now it looks like we're also getting some other unfortunate nerfs in zombies. You are no longer going to be able to AFK in a zombies game, get crystals, XP, or battle pass progression. So if you're AFKing in a game, You're not going to earn anything from that. And on top of that, players who remain inactive for a significant period of time will be kicked from the match. Now that to me is kind of dumb. I understand not allowing the players who are inactive to be able to get, you know, Ethereum crystals and battle pass progressions. And this right here is a massive nerf for people trying to get super high rounds in co-op game. A lot of times when people are going for like round 400, 500 plus in co-op games, they'll take shifts because these games are going to go on for many, many days. And obviously you're not going to be able to like play the game for a long period of time. And what they'll do is they'll take turns and they'll take shifts. One person will go through this many rounds, then the next person will come back and go through this many rounds. And with this in place, you might no longer be able to do this. They might have just massively nerfed co-op high round attempts with this update. And it does look like if you pause the game, people aren't going to get kicked. However, that's not really going to help people going for super high round co-op games. Other than that, everything else in this has mainly been kind of bug fixes. They've also made quite a few changes to Dead Ops Arcade as well. Now, one thing not posted in these patch notes that I've seen quite a few reports is while playing Outbreak, people are getting drops that allow them to pack-a-punch their weapon, put ammo mods on their weapon, and a bunch of the other drops that were exclusively added to Onslaught, which I think is really going to change up how Outbreak is played. If you're able to play now and you're able to get, you know, an ammo mod drop or a weapon upgrade drop, it's going to allow you to focus on perks and other things now, which is really freaking cool. But with that, boys, that is all the patch notes here. So some really cool stuff. Some stuff to be worried about. Obviously, the Deadwire nerf looks to be pretty heavy. Same thing with the pump action shotgun. We still got to do more testing on that, but it looks like the meta for zombies is going to be changing up quite a bit. But there were some definitely really cool things with Outbreak changes and other stuff like that. So we'll just have to see how everything plays out when the new season goes live tomorrow. With that, boys, I'm going to go ahead and end this here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.